Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another edition of To The Point podcast. Tonight, as always, I'm here. I'm your host, Noah Warren. But tonight, we're welcoming back QMJHL scout Craig Eagles. And tonight, we're going to do something fun. We're going to be talking about the World Juniors, but specifically about 4 to 5 players that are playing in the Maritimes right now or have played in the not-so-recent future. So, Craig, thanks for coming back on the show, first and foremost.
Well, it's great to be on To The Point. Noah, thanks for having me back on, and I'm really excited to talk about some of the elite Atlantic Canadian kids that have really, their journeys are all unique in a certain way. So it's great to see them having success and really all Atlantic Canada having success here, in the recent months. I think, I put something out last night or the night before, maybe, talking about, when we were growing up, the NHL, especially, well, me with my relic hat here, again, relic, not a reference that you might get, Noah, because you're too young for that, but beachcombers. But anyway, I digress. When I was growing up, the NHL around here, sure, we had the Atlantic Canadians that we looked up to and idolized, but the NHL it just felt so far away, unattainable. But it's great to see players, coaches, scouts, referees having so much success now at hockey's highest level. So it's great to see, and it's really inspiring the next generation of these players that are have the honor to put the Maple Leaf on during this tradition.
Absolutely. And through this Team Canada, we're seeing players come from everywhere. The Q, the W, the OHL, and really what I've started to see, Craig, is a pattern of really good Maritimers going to play NCAA hockey. I know you scout the Q, so obviously you probably have a little bias towards the CHL, but I see players going there and almost rivaling the Q in the next 5 to 10 years.
Well,
what are your thoughts on that?
It's a tough question. It's a very good question, Noah. To be honest with you, it's up to the player and up to their family.
Right.
And I know, obviously, I would have loved to see Alex Newhook play in the Q.
Likewise.
At 15, 16, this kid would have lit it up. He probably would have scored 20 goals as a 16 in the Q. But he chose a different path. The family chose a different path, and you have to admire that, and you have to accept that.
Right.
But, I saw the kid at 15 in Blainville. He was incredible. His engine was just nonstop. Kid's got an amazing motor. As the tournament went on, game after game after game, I never thought that my first year in Blaine, I didn't know what to expect. I had no idea. As we alluded to, Lafreniere was there and Poulin was there, but I didn't know what to expect. By Sunday, it was like, you saw these teams and these players so much. It was like scouting overload, but it was phenomenal to watch. Newhook got better every game. And he found a way to get to the net, Noah, every shift.
Yeah, I'd say that's one of his better assets. So yeah, we're talking about Alex Newhook, center. He's playing in the NCAA, but he's one of many players in this tournament. He hasn't played a game yet this season. So almost half the team hasn't played a game for Team Canada. Whether that means anything, I think it's too early to tell, because I think we can say it's not going to mean anything. But half the Russian team has played 15 plus games. So,
yeah, but
I think some players can just bring it. And he's one that he's a gamer to me, and I don't worry about him, when the puck drops.
Well, I think that's a great analogy. And from what we've seen so far in limited scrimmages and that type of thing, he didn't even play in the red-white game. And then they went
he was in quarantine.
He was in quarantine and with the other
Dylan Holloway. Yeah.
Yeah. All that group. So, from what we've seen so far, I think the pace has been good. Now, once they get into Edmonton, I think, more practices under their belts and that type of thing. But Alex knew it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter how many games, sure, game shape. I get that. I understand that. But he's a gamer through and through. And he's just relentless. He's relentless in all three zones. And the one thing that I found seeing him at 15 was the puck always seemed to find him.
Mm-hmm.
It was like Velcro. And the little subtle plays that he would make in traffic and through the middle, the zone entries with speed, setting the wall, going hard to the net, those are the qualities that go into having, a first round draft pick. And I think the Avalanche did a great job picking him, and he's going to be one hell of a hockey player in the years to come.
Yeah, no, I agree. And right now, if the way they've been practicing, they've been in quarantine since Sunday, so they'll be back practicing tomorrow. He's on a line with Pelletier and Dylan Holloway, so two of the NCAA kids, and then obviously the Calgary first rounder, who we'll touch on in a bit. But I think, obviously all these players play, top line in the Q or W, so they're going to have to adapt. But I think he's a perfect third line center, which is where they have him right now, like in the practice lines. Obviously, that's subject to change based on play and, fit. But I think a third line center role, he'd be able to fit it well and not take it as a slight, if you can understand where I'm coming from there.
Well, I think it's great. I really do. I think he, from that perspective, Noah, I think that's a great fit for him because he's such a two-way presence.
Right.
And he's going to generate offense. Like that line is going to generate offense. Just
I think it'll be one of their best offensive lines.
Well, yeah, because they're so accountable in the other zone.
Mm-hmm.
Like Jacob Pelletier is not going to cheat. He never cheats. He never cheats. I saw that kid maybe cheat once on the offensive side in 3 years here in Moncton. And it happened. Calgary came in. Here's a story for you. Calgary came in. They had 3 people from the organization. Brian McGrattan was there. And McGrattan looks after their prospects from a player development standpoint off the ice.
Yeah, he's doing a cool program, like helping them and keeping them like on a straight and narrow, just because he's had such a checkered past.
Well, and talking with him and interviewing him and then writing the article on him. What an amazing person. Like, unbelievable. McGrattan just like, he was incredible. But Pelletier had been, because this is way before they started making all the trades and stuff like that. But he was cheating a little bit, stops and starts, because he's so passionate about the game, and they were going through a little dip, and right, like he was so, because he cares so much, he was trying to get some offense going, and you could just tell how bad the kid wanted it. But after that, boy, oh boy, did he ever play some great hockey. Like, it's really unfortunate that we didn't see that core group of and the championship caliber team that the Wildcats had really go up against, the top echelon teams. But getting back to Pelletier and Newhook playing on a line together, speed, accountability in all 3 zones, and you can put them out, they'll play in any situation, Noah.
I think Craig, I think they'll play against the opponent's top line.
Oh, no question.
They'll be in this tournament. You can have a shutdown line that can still do it offensively. I mean, Max Domi did it in 2015, and he did it, and he was the player of the tournament.
Well, yeah. So I don't know the other kid on the other wing, but I don't have to know him,
right,
to know what those 2 other players are going to bring to that.
Right.
I'm sure he's one hell of a hockey player too.
Like, I've only seen him play once. I caught a university game last year.
Yeah.
But knowing that they're going to put him on this line, he's got to be at least reliable defensively, because you wouldn't put him on the line.
Well, and he's going to be probably a north-south presence,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a fantastic line. And listen, Tournier is a hell of a coach.
Yeah.
He really is. And having, a couple opportunities to interview him over the year that he was here with the Mooseheads, he was great. He was great to the media. And what more can you ask?
Yeah, no, and he's been an assistant coach at the World Juniors before. He's got all the experience in the world, like you said, and I like Newhook, like you said, his whole package, and I see him going against. I think of like the Russians, who Canada always beats. Seems like they beat, but they have a tough time finishing them off.
Yeah,
I think like this line can be that one to put the nail in the coffin, so to speak, and just, take that top line from Russia, the U.S., and just make them feel like they're not even in the game because they're not generating anything offensively.
well, I think really, Noah, you have to look at their skating ability.
Mm-hmm.
Really, what do you want in a quote unquote third line, energy line, momentum changing line? Is speed, playmaking ability, and smarts. And that line definitely has it with Newhook and Pelletier.
Yeah.
And the other player, again, I'm not familiar with, so I'm not going to comment. These people that say, oh yeah, word of mouth and all this stuff. I haven't seen the kid enough. So
we're not going to do that here because every other pundit does that, and it's bullshit. You and me both know it.
I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
Like the only person I really trust when they say that is Ferraro and Miller, because they have to. Like they have to know it. I mean,
well, and the O-Dog, like I really appreciate, like some people say, oh, I really appreciate what he's done, going over to the international tournaments and he's no, listen, he's no stranger. He's put in the work, and he's really transparent and saying, these are my, these are the kids that I'm looking at,
mm-hmm.
These are my scouting reports. This is who I've liked and who I haven't, or who needs more. I think the O-Dog has done a great job as an analyst.
So I agreed. He's the best analysts are the most transparent. It's the analysts that make a point without making a point. They give you the runaround and they end up in the same. They go back to the question, and you're like, well, what was that the song and dance for?
Yeah. See, Dave Poulin, same thing. He's right to the point.
Right.
He knows players.
That's why TSN, they don't have the hockey package, but they have way better analysts than Sportsnet ever dreams of right now.
I can't comment on that, but it is what it is.
I will.
No. Listen, I think Rogers does a great job. I think they do Rogers Sportsnet do a fantastic job covering the game. I think TSN does a fantastic job covering the game. I just think that from a World Juniors perspective,
mm-hmm.
We're so entrenched in seeing TSN cover the hell out of that tournament.
Right. They do a phenomenal job. Nobody could really say they don't, because they do a really good job of, you get every game.
And let's face it, Hockey Canada has done a great job keeping them on board, and there's a great partnership there.
Yeah.
It's just they've become so trusted across this country in bringing us hockey that, you can't dispute that. And Rogers, the same thing, in the last, during their time covering the NHL, it's the same thing. We're just so starved for hockey that, we just gravitate to TSN during the holidays because it's, like I alluded to earlier, it's a great tradition.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's what we know and we can trust it. And I think this year more than ever, we haven't seen hockey in, a long time. So I'm damn excited to see these kids, get to do what they love and probably play the best tournament of the year. That's just my opinion, but it's hard to beat.
Well, and especially, Spangler Cup being canceled.
I know. I'm a huge fan of the Spangler Cup. I know a
Yeah,
lot of people hate that tournament. I
I
don't miss
love
a
it.
game of the Spangler. I love it.
Yeah, I love it. It's great, and it's great to see Canadians playing abroad,
Right. I think of like a
across
Zach
Europe.
Fucali who
Yeah.
played for the Mooseheads, played for Team Canada at the World Juniors,
Yep.
and he's only got one loss, and it was a shootout in the gold medal at the Spangler Cup. He's played there 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
Like he still gets to represent his country. It's
Well,
still a huge honor.
and he parlayed that into another contract.
Right. He's playing with Hershey.
Right. So, and I think they just transferred him actually to Washington. Well, the Stingrays in South Carolina.
Oh,
So
the
he's
East Coast team.
Yep. So he's down with Cam Askew and Zach Malatesta and DeBow. So,
Okay.
which is great to see.
Right. So pivoting over to Pelletier, we kind of mentioned him earlier, but he's been a great player. I would say he's got high-end goal scoring ability, but I would classify him more as a playmaker than a goal scorer. Would you agree with that?
Yes and no. I think he's definitely a pass first player.
Right.
He really is. I think it's Jacob's two-way presence that makes him so effective.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. He's just so damn reliable. Like, it's just, I hate to say it, but he's like a Volvo. He's like a Volvo. He's just, he's a tank out there, rugged, reliable, performance, knows when to perform. Like, anyway, I'm a little biased because I, grew up in a family that loved Volvos. So
I drive one, so
seriously, I didn't know that. No,
yeah, I do.
but honestly, the kid can flat out play, and it's so great to see him have this opportunity after last year and the
Agreed.
injury.
Yeah.
He could have pushed for a roster spot last year.
I think he would have made it. I got that
I
feeling
think
more
so
and
too.
more because they seem really beat up when he was injured. Because I think he was making the team myself. Maybe it would have been maybe it would have been the Akil Thomas and been the 13th forward, but I think he was making that team.
I do too. I think it just really shitty timing for him.
Yeah.
And he was kind of banged up, and Spence was kind of banged up at the U18s the year before.
Yeah,
right.
The
So
Olinka Gretzky.
Right. So we were actually in Blainville watching that game, and Canada lost, I think, in the quarters. Spence played great. Pelletier played great. They were both kind of banged up, and people, scouts around saying, I don't know about next year and all this stuff. So it was great, to see Pelletier finally get an opportunity, and it's the right time for him. He's just such a great kid and a high character kid.
Yeah, and a leader. Obviously saw that in Moncton, but he's a first round pick of the Flames, like you mentioned earlier. And this tournament could be a big launching pad for him because I don't know about you, but if you got a good tournament and you're coming in hot, and the NHL, I don't believe it's going to start January 13th. The more and more they're talking, there's more problems. Today, they say they might not be able to play in Canada, so who the hell knows there? I think he could parlay a great tournament into a roster spot with the Calgary Flames.
Really?
First round pick, they're going to give you a look, especially if there's no, they can't send him to the AHL yet. So, he might get that Dylan Cousins with Buffalo, the 5-game look, and then they can send him back.
I think that's an interesting perspective, Noah. Will they give him a look? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I would, but with Valdor in the position that they're in right now, I think Calgary will probably send him back right away. They're not going to bring him to camp and do that to a 19-year-old kid, I think. But who knows? They might keep him there and say, no, you're going to stay here. But I just don't think that that's what the Calgary Flames are going to do to their, future
Asset.
and to their assets. So, and especially with Valdor being a championship caliber team, and Legary going there, I think that's the rumor that he's going. So, could you imagine Legary and Pelletier on the same line? Like, whew, this kid can play.
But that's
Big
the
right
thing. There
shot.
might not be a Mem Cup, or there might not be a President's Trophy. So it's kind of like, what are you playing for?
Yeah, but you can go get him at any time, right?
Yeah.
So send them back, let them play. I'm sure they're going to bubble in Quebec. They're going to bubble. They'll probably have 5 or 6, 7 bubbles, or 5 probably, and then here in the Maritimes, hopefully, fingers crossed that they'll get those games in. I think there's going to be a President's Cup, but I'm trying to be as hopeful as I can,
Right.
and optimistic. So, getting back to Pelletier, he's a big game player. And Noah, you saw Lafreniere when he came through town.
Yeah, Pelletier was right there with him.
Well, the 211s just dominated that game, and Pelletier scoring in overtime was a thrill.
I think they both had 4 points that night.
Yeah.
So,
and I just see Pelletier being that type of pro, like a long time pro. He just gets it. He understands. And you mentioned leadership. This kid's got a tremendous attitude, keeps things light, great sense of humor. But when the chips are down, that kid's going to deliver.
Right.
Every time. So anyway, I can't believe I compared a hockey player to a Volvo, but anyway, there you go.
Before we switch to the defense, let's touch on returnee Dawson Mercer. He's right now in the practice lines. He's actually an extra, so he's not in the top 4, which, I mean, that's subject to change. They play their first pre-tournament game Monday against the Swedes.
You know why he's there, though, Noah? You know why he's there?
Why?
I don't. Honestly, I'm asking you the question. I don't.
Oh.
I don't know why he's their in that position. The kid is dynamic.
Yeah, it's strange to me that you have a returning player on the outside looking in
as a rover.
Because I honestly thought, Craig, he might wear a letter.
He should.
Because, I think he's I think he could be a great I look at him as a better Lawson Krause in the NHL. I think they're similar. I don't know if you've from like Florida draft pick. I think he's got a lot more skill. Krause is not as good of a skater.
Yeah.
But Mercer has that, he's got that Tom Wilson in him where he's not afraid to go in the corner and,
does he ever? Does he ever?
He's got that dog in him, if you will.
Well, the kid's got skill.
Mm-hmm.
Skill, speed, puck skills, relentlessness. Like Mercer and Newhook, I'd put them on a line together with Pelletier. Mm-hmm. There you go, boys. But they have them there. This is my perspective and my opinion.
Right.
Like assholes know everyone has one. Okay, but this is mine. So it is what it is. They have them there. Basically, they're trying every other line, and then they're just going to move him because he can play. He can play any position, anytime. They'll just someone.
He'll be on spot duty and just throw him in.
Just throw him in. Top line, sure. Second line center, sure. Third line center, yeah, no problem. Penalty kill, yeah. The kid's a complete player, and you look at all the Q guys that are there.
Mm-hmm.
All complete players. Oh, well, Jordan Spence is he's one-dimensional. He's not. No, he's not. Right? No, he's not. Look at his plus minus. I'm not a big stats guy, Noah, but I'll tell you, plus minus, okay, when you're doing it, when you're supposed to be the offensive guy and you're doing it in your own end like Jordan Spence has done, then, this kid, even Barron. Yeah. Barron's great in his own zone. Spence is great in his own zone. And Mercer, he could be in a checking role. He can be in a top scoring role. Just look at his numbers. Look at his numbers. If you're stats driven, which some people are, I guess. Like,
So as a scout, this is a stat that I kind of debate with people, and I think it's an overrated stat, but plus minus. You can get a lot of plus minuses from jumping on the ice when the players have done everything and you're just there at the right time. How do you evaluate plus minus as a statistic?
well, I don't look at stat sheets very often,
Right.
but when I do, that's one thing that I look at.
Okay.
And I think the Q has done a fantastic job. And I would love to write stories and highlight and showcase all, I sit beside them in games, and there's 6 people, the stats guys, and they're nonstop. Like they're probably the hardest working in the press box, believe it
They
or
got their
not.
Corsi calculators just flowing or
Well,
what?
it's incredible to watch, Noah. It really is. So, you know, the Q or CHL, they don't keep time on ice, which teams do.
Yeah.
They have a
Oh, for
little
sure.
little microchip in the jerseys.
Mm-hmm.
Don't believe me? Ask, find out. Anyway, microchip in the jersey. Teams keep it. I digress. But yeah, they're charting it. They're charting it every shift. They're charting it. Line changes. They're calling out numbers, and then the video review is there, and it's awesome to watch. And
Mm-hmm.
if I had time, I'd film it, but obviously you can't because it's behind
Right.
closed doors and that type of thing. But when I look at plus minus, it's just like looking at the secondary assist, or how did the play develop.
Right. I think it's to look at plus minus. I think you need to look at the goals that they're on for and really look at the play. Because if you're on there and you don't make a breakout pass and you're just the D standing there, being Waldo,
Yeah,
well, it's a plus, but you didn't do anything to earn the plus. You're just right place, right time. But I
right.
agree with you. If you make the good exit pass and it leads to a goal, you might not get a point, but that plus meant a lot because you got your team out of trouble and it led to them putting the puck in the back of the net.
Well, look behind me right here, Patrice Bergeron, plus minus
Yeah.
every year, right?
I
Brad
think of
Marchand,
Bergeron, Taves,
right?
those guys are great at it.
Exactly. But when are they on the ice, Noah?
Yeah.
That's plus minus to me, right? When are they on the ice? And Dawson Mercer can be on the ice in any situation.
Yeah.
So they don't want to put him specifically with a line combo just to see, okay, who's going, who's not. And then, all right, Dawson, there you go. And maybe he's banged up a little bit.
Could be.
Could be.
And maybe they're just like, well, we want you on a fourth, like you said. I think he could go on a lot of shifts just to create havoc. Say they're going through a 5-minute lull and you need someone to go out there and throw 3 checks. He's the one to do it.
Well, look at him last year, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah, he was the complete energy guy last year.
right. The one thing, the one knock that people might say about Dawson is physical strength.
Right.
Like, he's not man strong yet, but he's got a great frame. Like, he's going to start filling out. And Dawson Mercer at 21, when he's playing in the National Hockey League, like, it's going to be something to be reckoned with. And we talk about player development, we talk about the provinces catching up and all
Mm-hmm.
those things. His uncle runs a great program over there, and his brother Riley, same type of thing. They're on the ice helping kids, giving back, and then they do their thing. I think it's great, and it's great to see 2 Newfoundland kids on the team this year.
Yeah, no, agreed. And we'll see where that goes. Obviously, like we said, they play a pre-tournament game on Monday. So we'll see if he can get into the lineup or how he's kind of used by Turney and co. But let's flip to the defense because we got 2 players currently playing for maritime teams. We'll start with Jordan Spence. He's been really a sensation in Moncton for a couple of years now. He's from PEI, and he's
Been all over the map, right?
yeah,
All over the world.
he's played. Yeah, he's been all over the world playing, playing hockey, what have you. But yeah, I like his game a lot offensively, and there's just times where I worry that he's great joining the rush. Don't get me wrong, and
Yeah.
he's a threat every time he does. I just think sometimes he needs to pick his spots a little bit better for my liking of defensemen.
Well, that's a great point. I think you saw Jordan the first 7 to 10 games last year really struggle.
Yeah.
Because their back end was not where it should have been. Axel hadn't come yet, and he was really trying to. I think he was pointless in 7 games. So the first 7 games, no points. People are like, oh, there was a quiet, whisper around the Avenir Center, like, what's going on with Jordan Spence? He's not scoring. He's not, he was trying to force it. And I think when Jordan just settles in, less is more approach, like the one aspect that really just captivates and you zoom in and zero in on is his ability, his escapability when rounding the net. Watch him. He takes 2 strides. He beats every forechecker. And I think at this level, the elite level, and he was doing it this season, okay, already. He was beating guys, but now with the speed, the talent across the world, you're going to see Jordan Spence elevate his game. And I think less is more for him. You'll still see him jump in with the instincts, but I think he's more pass first at this level. And I think that's what Jordan's going to continue to work on as he goes through and matures in the game, that give and goes and picking his places. And I think he's done that effectively, especially this season in Moncton on a rebuilding team. He's, DeYoung's been good. He's been okay, not great. He's been good, but Spence has been really, really good. And my biggest concern with Jordan is getting shots through and shooting the puck on net. He's always a pass first guy in the offensive zone. He really, really needs to get his shot through a little bit quicker. And if he does that, he's going to score lots of goals, and he's going to get great a number of assists, because his shot is very, very good. It's a heavy shot. Like, he could have had his first year in Moncton. I think some of the guys are razzing him because he had tremendous looks, but he was just missing the net, squeezing the stick a little bit. So I think,
and
offensively, he's got to get more pucks through.
And to your point about him struggling last year when their D wasn't great, he's going to be on a team where he's not going to be the focus. He's not going to have all the pressure to do it all, because
right.
There's the Bowen Byroms of the world, the Jamie Drysdales. They're first round pick defensemen. Caden Gooley's first rounder, Schneider. He's gonna be seen as a complementary piece. So I think he'll be free just to play his game, and then just play your game, Jordan. Like, you don't have to be the hero here.
Well, and right now, do they have a shutdown pairing? Like, are they defensive enough? That's my biggest worry in international. Like, do you have that pairing, that shutdown pairing?
Yeah,
because everyone wants the flash and the offense and the big, in Europe, the big ice and good skaters and elite
and
level.
That brings us back, Craig, to our conversation about coaching.
I think does it ever?
All these kids are being told, you got to be offensive, and we're not seeing shutdown pairs when they come in the NHL. Like, it's rare we see a really good shutdown. I think of David Savard and Gavrikov last year for Columbus. Well, they were fantastic, but
Chara McAvoy.
Right. But,
Like,
you know,
are they a
it's
shutdown pair? I don't know.
I look at their team like Barron and Drysdale are a deep pair right now. That's not a shutdown. They're complete offense.
Yeah,
The last practice before they were in quarantine, it was Thomas Harley and Spence. And then Caden Gooley was playing with Justin Barron.
I
So,
love that pairing.
yeah, that might be the one, maybe, I'd say, just because I don't think Spence can be a shutdown pair defenseman. I don't think that's just not his makeup.
It
I,
might
I
not
wouldn't
be.
love it if I was a coach.
It might not be his makeup, but he's really good defensively. Like, people underestimate his defense and his stick. Like, his stick is really, really good. And that was the big thing his first year here in Moncton was he wasn't getting beat in the corners. He wasn't losing those one-on-one puck battles. And which was amazing to see. Like, just loved it. Loved it. And he'd always come out with the puck. And then, his vision is so good. He knew where to go with it. And then it was like we talked about earlier, it's okay, I made that pass. Is it time to bust my ass and get up in the play? Or, when he first came here, it was go, 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 go. Last year, it was, okay, I'm going to pick and choose a little bit better.
Right. Yeah. And, he's got all the opportunity in this tournament. He's been flip-flopping with Schneider for being in the top 6.
Yep.
So every practice they seem to be switching. So, I mean, hopefully he can stay in the top 6. I wish him all the best. I mean, I like watching him play. Schneider, first round pick of Montreal this past draft. So, I think Turney and Co have, made their, they have their roster, but they still have some really big decisions to make before the puck drops.
Definitely. And, who's going in, who's coming out.
Yeah.
Like, that's the story right now. And, once they play those exhibition games and get tuned up, they'll know. They'll have a feel for that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you hit the nail on the head talking about who's played and who hasn't. And I think when it boils right down to it, you're going to see those Q kids start rising to the top.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, him playing this year, besides him, only Barron's played. Like, they don't
On the back end.
on the back end. That's it. Yeah, like every other was either they have 2 W defensemen. They have it's all OHL or WHL defensemen. So they haven't played a lick since March. That's a long freaking time without playing a game.
It is, but if they put the work in and identified areas to work on and their weaknesses, then, are they going to be in full game shape? Clearly no, because they haven't. But,
Yeah.
Nowadays kids are in really, really good shape, and they had so much longer to train.
Yeah.
So, but I think Justin Barron's story is one of triumph versus adversity. Like, it's the feel good. Obviously, everyone loves Jordan Spence, his story, because it's incredible. But right now, I reached out to the Mooseheads organization, Scott McIntosh, today, and I don't want to give you I'll give you the scoop, I guess. I really want to write an article on Robin Hunter, their athletic therapist, because I think that's a story that needs to be told right now. It's already been told. She identified the blood clot right away, and Justin's mom's in the healthcare as well. Together they diagnosed it, and it's emotional for me to talk about it right now because the what ifs, right? Like, this kid is a great kid, quiet, confident, does his talking on the ice, and to see him have go through that adversity in the biggest year of his life and handle it with
Like a pro.
like a pro. And just to see his brother have so much success going two different directions, right? One Q, one NCAA, and having those career pathways now meeting in the National Hockey League or eventually in the National Hockey League, I think it's tremendous. And it's a big feather in the cap for the Maritimes and for the Barron family.
So yeah, like you mentioned, he had a blood clot last year, and even the year before, he had some injury problems. And before when the year started, he was scheduled to go high in the 2020 NHL draft, like top
Yeah.
15, and
Oh,
he
big
ended up
time.
dropping to 25 to Colorado. Colorado just seems to scoop up good players.
I called that
Joe
pick.
Sakic.
I called that pick, Noah.
Mm-hmm.
No, seriously, go back and look at it. I called that pick. I'm like, Barron would be a great fit in Colorado. Boom. Tweeted that shit out. Bam. It's just a no-brainer. Ryan Graves, Justin Barron. There's a hell of a pairing.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, I see him like he was the X factor of the draft because I think they could have a steal with him.
Yep.
Going that low just because if he can stay healthy, I think the sky's the limit for this kid. But just his game, I like him as a potential second power play quarterback on the back end, just because I think he has great vision and he doesn't score many goals, but I think he's got a good shot. And
Yeah.
he might not score the goal, but the goalie might not be able to contain the rebound. And then you get a dirty goal from a Mercer or, a Dylan Cousins, who's going to be a key feature on this team. He likes to get into those dirty areas. So he could be a key fixture there.
Urgency in his own zone. I think that's one thing that I've noticed over the years is sure he's got ice in his veins and he's got great poise with the puck, but now at this level, the elite level, a little bit more urgence to move that puck quicker, right? And to play with that urgency in his game. And I think if he does that because he skates so well, is he prone to the big turnover at times on the offensive blue line?
Yeah.
Yes, at times, but you could say that about all their D, right?
Yeah, they're all 18, 19 years old. They're going to make mistakes.
They're right. They're risk takers too, right? So risk reward. But with Barron, he's so effective below the face-off dots. He's not going to get beat. He skates so well. His edges are terrific. So he's not going to lose many puck battles. It's when he has the puck on his stick, that's when the urgency needs to be there. Move it quick, 2 or 3 quick strides, and away you go. And Noah, he can rush the puck. Like he's got great mitts. Like he's got great puck skills. Less is more. I think, it's great to see. And getting back to Robin Hunter, I think it's just that's the story, and it's a great feel good story to see an athletic therapist treat players and get them back on the ice bigger and better than ever. Mm-hmm. And she's one of the best in the queue, and it's great to see that Barron is doing so well right now. And like you said, hopefully he stays healthy.
Yeah, and he could have a huge role in this team. And I think it's going to even be more important on these defensemen like Spence and Barron to be defensively sound, because Team Canada has 3 goaltenders who are unproven, to say the least. They have these three guys, basically they pick them out of Dorchester and say, come play hockey. Like we're used to seeing goaltenders with some pedigree. None of these guys don't have any. And I'm trying to be nice, but they really don't. So the bigger names are the players this year. Usually there's no Carey Price, there's no Justin Pogge, there's no standout goaltender. Carter Hart. So it's on these defensemen to cover up for potential errors, I think.
I think it's, again, I haven't done my homework from the goaltending perspective. I like the underdog. I really do.
Mm-hmm.
And they have 3 underdogs between the pipes. And with that defense core that they have, and
really their whole team.
Their whole team, like it's a stacked
It's
team.
freaking deep.
And it's great.
Mm-hmm.
Rightfully so. Can you imagine if Lafreniere showed up?
Oh, don't even play. It's over.
Well, Pelletier, Lafreniere, Poulin, there you go. There's your line, boys. They're best friends.
Yeah.
It'd
No,
be great. Be great to watch.
No, I mean, looking like they got Kirby Doc, who played a full year in the NHL last year. Like, it's pretty lucky. That's so underreported. Like, he had a really good year last year as a rookie in the NHL, and it's just like, oh yeah, he's here. Like, so it's Kirby Doc. It's not when Jake Virtanen came when nobody cared. Like
that kid can play. Like
mm-hmm.
during the red white games, like he was just like
He was putting on a show.
Well, yeah, head and shoulders above everyone. So the kid can play.
Yeah,
and they've got a lot of talent up front. It's just now Tourigny has to find identity and roles for his players,
and they have to buy in.
They have to buy in, and they have to accept that role. And if they do, then they're going to have success.
Yeah,
right. And that's the Hockey Canada
mantra.
Right, is find your role, fulfill it, have success, win gold medals.
Yeah. Yeah, we've seen it so many times that I really don't worry about it. I think they just know they seem to do it most years. I mean, they seem to win one, lose one, but they've gotten some bad beats in the past, and sometimes they just, their team is overhyped when there's a lot of teams that were better than them in certain situations.
How are they going to move the puck? You'll be able to tell this team's character, and by any real elite team's character, by how they move the puck.
Mm-hmm.
And in years gone by, I think there have been, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Noah, in my opinion, there have been players that give me the puck, get the hell out of the way.
Oh, for sure.
And then there's teams where, if you go all the way back to the Bergeron, Crosby era, they move the puck. And boy, oh boy, was it ever fun to watch, right?
For sure.
So when you have a team culture of, and I think there might be a little bit of that, give me the puck, let me, do my thing already, because kids haven't played and they want to showcase. They want it, right? So, and
especially these guys that are, say, like, quote unquote fringe NHLers, if they can make a statement before a potential camp, I'm sure they want to do that.
But how are you going to get noticed? You've already been noticed. How are you going to get noticed? You're going to get noticed by playing in a system and playing to your identity.
Because when you go to the NHL, you're playing third, fourth line. You're not playing top 6.
No. And you look on the back end right now, Spence, Barron, where's Justin Barron going to play next year?
Yeah.
You think the Halifax Mooseheads are going to trade Justin Barron?
They didn't already, so I don't see them parting with him.
I think he comes back this year. They're getting Cena Peters. They just pulled a guy. They got a kid coming up from BC, right? So I think, are they trying to move him? I don't know. But do you move him? Like, where's Colorado going? Like, is Justin Barron going to be playing in the Q at 20?
I think he'd probably play HL.
Right. But
because their decor is going to be one of the tougher to cracks, especially because Byram would leapfrog Barron already.
Right. So some NHL teams look at games played when it comes to goaltending.
Right.
Would the Avalanche look at games played and say, you need to get 30 to 40 games in. Obviously, Justin Barron's not going to play in the Q at 20.
No.
But does he just play out his days in Halifax? I don't know.
It's not the worst thing.
It's not right. And
The
it's
way
not
I get a sense from him is he'd rather play it out there than say get traded to Randa.
Well, but a contending team for another run. Well, I think the Halifax Mooseheads are a good, solid young team with a young core. They're probably going to want to trade Justin for, a shit ton of assets, which they're probably going to. But I think they might just stand pat and say, well, it's not the Halifax way. They move players. And
they
do it
win,
the right way.
win, and then they flip them.
Right. So, but now, that's the big question is where's he going to play after the World Juniors? And, if he stays healthy, he's in the top 3 defenders in the entire league.
Yeah.
So I'm thrilled to see him having success this season.
Absolutely. He's got a great story. And like we're saying about all these Maritimers, they all can have a huge impact on this tournament in one way or another. They might not all be scoring goals, but they might just be out there throwing hits or, just doing the little things correct. So going into this tournament, I think the Maritime kids will play a big role. And I'm super excited to see what they can do on the biggest platform they've had so far.
Well, so we've got a kid from the island, got a kid from Nova Scotia, got 2 from Newfoundland. Do you want to talk a little bit about Luca Cormier and
sure.
him not making?
Yeah, we can touch on him. Luca Cormier, just from down the road from me in the Saint Antoine area. It's about a 20-minute drive from here in Rexton. He was the last cuts for Team Canada. He was drafted by the Vegas Golden Knights in this past year's draft. Kind of fell a lot. He was on a lot of draft boards. I saw him in the top 35, 40, correct me if I'm wrong, Craig, but I saw Craig Buttons. He was like 38 or something and he fell into the 3rd round. So, I've always said this about Luca, and it sounds counterintuitive, but I compare him to a Martin St. Louis, the way he skates, but as a defenseman. St. Louis used to do that. He used to skate like sideways, but it used to it was so creative the way he did it. I see a little bit of that in Luca, and they're built similar too.
Yeah. Luca's time will come.
He'll make the team next year.
Definitely. As a 19, definitely.
Yeah.
What he's done in the last year and a half to get to this point, he's really grown as a player. Like at U17s, he was in St. John. He was effective, but his skating and all those things, he's gotten bigger, he's gotten stronger. But he knows what it takes. And I keep saying it, it's repetitive, but less is more. Like when Luca's trying to force the issue, that's when he kind of gets into trouble. When he lets the game come to him, that's when he excels.
Mm-hmm.
And when I saw, I'll never forget walking in, I saw this little kid with an eye tech in a Flyers playoff game. So I'm looking around, who's this kid? He was the best player on the ice as a bantam call-up that night. The best player on the ice. So a colleague at Moncton High, his son was playing on the team. I said, who's number so-and-so, the kid with the eye tech? He's like, oh, that's Luca Cormier. I'm going to get to see this kid every game next year. Blown away.
No, he's a lot of fun to watch. If you can get to a Q game this year, or if you can watch it on TV, tune into the Islanders because he's a hell of a lot of fun to watch.
Well, a lot of people say, oh, well, and one of the reasons why he might have fallen a little bit was oh, well, you can only have one, oh, he's a Torrey Krug or he's a Gerard or, he's this or he's that. Well, he's going to be Luca Cormier. And sure, does he play like Krug? Yes. Does he play that small, versatile?
Yeah, I like the Krug comparison more to Samuel Girard because I don't like him as a player. So I'll pick Krug because Girard just makes too many mistakes for me.
Well,
let's go with Krug.
Well,
he's got a good contract, so let's hope.
I can't believe they get anyway. I can't believe they let him walk. But anyway, no, but Luca's really cut down on those big mistakes in his game, and what he's done this season is just incredible, really. So look for the Islanders to be there at the end.
Do you think who's got the best team in the Maritime division right now? Islanders.
Well, yeah. It's a culture thing.
Yeah.
St. John on paper don't mean shit, Noah. That's why they play the games. St. John on paper has a very, very good team. And Greg Gilbert's done a great job there, but Jim Halton's done a great job on the island. I think they're, people say, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. I think they're three or four pieces away from being a contender. You don't go out and get Colton Ellis if you're not thinking about potentially going. Right? So, they went out, acquired Colton Ellis. They got Gooby, so is Ellis going to be a mentor for Gooby? Yes, it's a great fit. And then, you try to go, you try to add and see what it takes.
Right.
So I think they're going to add. I think at the deadline, they're going to be active. They need scoring. They need a top, they need an Alex Bocage type player. But I'm hearing, get this, I'll Bocage to Blainville. That's what I'm hearing. But who knows? All rumors.
Right.
And like we talked about last time, right? I'm not going to break any more trades. So there you go. Speculation, rumors.
Even if you do, you didn't. That's what you can just say. That's what I say to everything. I didn't do it. I just said it. It just happened, So it's not a lie if you don't believe it.
Thanks, George.
Yeah. We all got a little George Costanza in us. I like to think that anyway, because he's by far my favorite Seinfeld character. But anyway, we'll move on. So yeah, those are good to touch on Luca. I know a lot of his family too. They're really good people, and he'll be there next year, and he'll be wearing the crest for Team Canada. So I have no worries about that. But
I think his sister is going to be wearing the maple leaf for a long time too.
Yeah, no, you're right. Like same with Newhook's sister plays hockey too, I believe, in the NCAA at a very high level. So
they're at the same. I think they're at BC. She's at BC.
I think you're right. Well. Yeah, I remember Tally telling me about playing against her, and she's quite a very good player. So yeah, that basically wraps us up with our maritime update on the World Juniors. Craig, thank you so much for joining me again. I had a lot of fun chalking it up about the Maritime kids.
Well, I think it's great, and I think it's great to showcase all the Atlantic Canadian kids that are, really playing and going to have an impact at hockey's highest level. And fingers crossed, let's hope the World Juniors can get off the ground here and be played. So thanks again, Noah, for having me on, and it's always a pleasure to talk hockey with you, big guy.
Absolutely. So the World Juniors are slated to kick off a week from tomorrow. So we'll have more coverage of the World Juniors here on To The Point. But until we talk again, have a great day, and we'll talk soon.